Hey everybody, welcome to Guided Listening. I'm Jeff Antoniuk. So we have a big one today, A Love Supreme, the landmark album by John Coltrane. We're going to listen to the first track, which is called Acknowledgement, and this is Coltrane's classic quartet with Jimmy Garrison on the bass, with Elvin Jones on the drums, McCoy Tyner on piano, and of course Coltrane playing tenor saxophone. I've been putting this one off for a while because, of course, it's just such this. It's this huge thing, right? It's one of the biggest jazz albums out there. Not necessarily top selling, but I imagine its numbers are kind of up there as well. But just so important, so legendary for all these reasons. And I'm going to cut through almost all of that, and we're going to listen to music, and we're going to talk about mechanics. Because it's kind of easy, I think, to get lost in the legend and the lore and all that. And we should, because that's awesome. Those are the emotions. What was behind this? This was a spiritual album. Great. We know where to find that information. Get into it. Turn down the lights, light some incense and knock yourself out. What we're going to do here is talk about how, this is a tune and it has a structure and you think it's all loose and just, it's super locked in so many ways. The form, super locked in, even though there's no form. What's that? What Coltrane is playing is so simple. It's based on incredibly simple palette. And then the devices he's using are simple. He's doing it like a freaking master, of course. So I'm not trying to dumb down or downplay any of the genius here. What I'm trying to let you know is these were four human beings on a day in some dude's living room in New Jersey making an album. It was important. It was heartfelt, but that's what it was, right? So there's a lot we can get to. So we're just trying to, just kind of pull back the veil a little bit and see what was going on. This is a tune. Okay. I know some of you are angry with me, so I look forward to your comments. I want to let you know, inside Jazzwire. Jazzwire is the platform that I founded almost 5 years ago now. And we're working on 3 incredible songs at 3 different levels this week. In the blue community, the advanced semi-pro kind of folks, we're working on Woody and You, Dizzy Gillespie, great bebop tune, talking about minor 251s and various approaches to that. Inside the red community, we're working on Oscar Pettiford's Blues in the Closet, talking about how to really get the juice out of the harmonic stuff going on in the blues, and we're going to start talking about transposing to different keys. And then in the green community, for the more novice folks, we're playing Stars Fell on Alabama, incredible song that you know from the Cannonball and Coltrane album, many other places too. Take the free trial. I would love for you to see what I'm talking about. It's free. That's why we call it a free trial. Check it out. And then I want you to come into the community and start getting incredible work done like hundreds of people around the world already are. Okay, so let's listen to this tune. So what do I mean by it's so kind of tight, what's going on? So what we're going to do is listen. There's this introduction, right? Coltrane is playing 3 notes. It's 3 notes, but he's running up and down and he's playing it in this way that it seems like so much more. He's playing 3 notes. Then we get into the groove of the tune and we hear a melody. And it's kind of loose, and sometimes it's hard to tell where does the melody stop, and the solos begin, and that's fantastic. But it's really sort of an 8-measure melody. And here's the thing. For the whole rest of the track, this 8-measure feel, keeps happening. I don't think it ever gets lost. There may be one time where the band's going a little bit wild that maybe it gets lost, or maybe it's just me. But there's this 8-measure recurring thing. It's not just open. These guys aren't just feeling it. That's ridiculous. There's laws. These people are coming from somewhere. They're using the laws that got them this far. Okay, cool. We're going to hear McCoy and Elvin especially playing really strong 2-measure phrases over and over. You would think that would be so boxy. That would be so confining. It would be so limited. It's too small. That's what makes them sound great. Check it out. It's the huge rule with almost no exceptions. When we hear Coltrane soloing, playing the melody and then soloing, it's all F minor pentatonic. There's one note he adds, which is the 2nd scale degree. So he adds one note on rare occasion, quite rare. He adds that note. Every other note that he plays can be explained by playing the theme, boo, ba, doo, da, and then he starts transposing those three simple intervals. 1 minor third, 1 4, it would be a way to think about it. And he starts shifting that around to, I think, almost every key or every one of the 12 keys. So yes, he plays all sorts of chromatic, outside, side slipping, whatever you want to call it, but everything is so clear and is totally explained by taking those three notes and shifting them around. Very limited palette. It's incredible how much is made. And then to me, it doesn't let me down. Oh, it was only that. It's more astounding. I love this more when I know a little bit about the rules of the game they were playing and how they got here. So let's jump in and listen to Acknowledgement, the John Coltrane Quartet. Gotta love that tam-tam, that gong. What a great sound. 3 pitches. That's all that is. A sustained sound and Coltrane playing those 3 pitches. Jimmy Garrison. So there's our theme, right? And then Elvin with this incredible groove. We would call this Latin, of course. He develops it further places. Latin is not a good descriptor, but drummers that study Elvin, they know how to talk about this stuff. He's got the rim click is on and a 1 and a 3. It's pretty interesting, that little repetitive thing he has going on. Melody. F minor pentatonic, 5 notes. Melody again. So he's embellishing, he's pushing it further, but it's the melody. And now we're out of the melody, and now this is the soloing. So keep counting these 8-measure phrases. So it's interesting to listen to Jimmy Garrison. He's not playing a repetitive bass line. It's kind of hard to hear down there, but he's improvising as much as anybody. In a way, he's not connecting with Elvin in a traditional way. So all this ba-ba-da, ba-ba-da, ba-ba-da. All these 3-note groupings. Are you hearing all those 3-note groupings? And any outsideness is him shifting those around. So now he's left the 3-note groupings, but it's still F minor pentatonic. All those fast flurries. And now again, he's shifting those 3 notes relative around. Those McCoy-Tyner voicings. To simplify, we call them 4ths and 5ths. It creates an open sound where he can clash with Train can clash with him, but it's not traditionally dissonant or displeasing. And that groove is still moving along, and they're still playing these 8-measure phrases. So let's listen to McCoy and Elvin. And listen to how McCoy and Elvin hit. There's always a cymbal hit and a left hand. Usually McCoy gives his left hand octave with Elvin Jones. 2, 3. Every 2 measures. You ever notice that? That is what's grounding it. That's how this doesn't sound like a mess. It doesn't sound like a mess, by the way. All these three-note groupings, the theme of acknowledgement. So strong, those two measure phrases that always add up 2 2 2 2 into an 8 measure larger piece. I really want to hear Jimmy Garrison, what he's doing more, and try to see how he's interplaying, especially with Elvin Jones, how he's playing against Elvin. Elvin is playing so strong. And now we're out of the solo, and Coltrane goes into this long section of quoting the melody bit in all these different pitch levels. And I've listened to this, I've played along, I've looked at transcriptions, and I don't see that he's going through a particular order of keys. He's not going all up in half steps or all down in whole steps. He's putting it where he feels it, is my best understanding of it. And now if we listen to Jimmy Garrison, so he was joining Coltrane's rhythm, then he goes against it, then he's coming back and joining. He's back with it. You hear that? Okay, so as Coltrane comes out, he takes over. Jimmy Garrison takes over. Now we have them chanting that same three-note group in its home spot in the harmony. And now that those guys are singing it, Jimmy Garrison is playing but also moving around a little bit too. This is still 8 measure phrases, by the way. 8 measure phrases. That little shift there. And so now this is everything kind of calming down a little bit. Back to where we started. With Elvin back to that same cross stick on the and to 1 and to 3, sort of a bookend arrangement back to where we started. So Train's gone, now McCoy's gone, just bass and drums. Great double time cymbal. And now Elvin is fading away, and we're left just with Jimmy Garrison. There's still our theme, right? And that's where it ends, and then we go into the next movement right from there. Oh boy, there is so much to listen for in there. And, you know, I would not blame somebody that listens to a lot of Charlie Parker or Ben Webster to hear that and go like, whoa, there's a lot of noise going on there. Seems like 4 people doing 4 different things at once. And in a sense, sure, I get how we could say that. The bass isn't connecting with the ride cymbal in a traditional way. The comping isn't necessarily connecting with the melody with thirds and sevenths and resolutions and all that. Absolutely, that's all very true. But we were in time, right? Everybody was playing in time. There absolutely was a form, an 8 measure recurring form. Inside that 8 measure, we heard McCoy and Elvin almost without fail playing these strong 2 measure connections. They'd ground it, it would go off, it'd be this big ellipse, and it comes back down, and it goes off, and it comes back down. There's this incredible orbit, you know, kind of going on with the groove and the feel. Coltrane over top. And how his playing was so organized around a palette, F minor, and F minor pentatonic. And you've heard me or others talk about the Coltrane pentatonic. This ain't that. This is the same old your mom and dad's pentatonic, the one you inherited from your grandparents years ago. This is that, right? And so Coltrane's playing it in his own personal way. He added literally one note, the second scale degree, a couple times in there. Everything else was taking that three notes and transposing it. So he never played a half whole diminished scale, a whole tone scale. There was no whole tone lick in there. There was never a note outside F minor pentatonic that couldn't be explained by either being the G that I mentioned or those three notes being transposed as a unit. It's not like he would just kind of take two and move them around. It was always that unit, pretty much. So, wow. So it's so specific, so limited. But of course, that it has to be, right? To make a statement, it's so impossibly hard to make an artistic statement where everything's included. And that does get done. There are people that are masterful at that, right? But when we think about great artistic statements, the stronger the statement, the more is excluded, right? One of my favorite artists, Rothko. We look at a Rothko painting and so much is excluded, right? Think about any of your favorite art. It's what's excluded is what gives the art its shape, its context. By the way, I'm not an art history major, so yeah, don't sue me for this, but I'm right, I think. So what we exclude is really big, and the more we exclude, the stronger the statement can be. And when you happen to be a genius, surrounded by genius, John Coltrane Quartet, man, that works. So I hope that was helpful and there was no disrespect in me sort of dispensing with some of the mysticism and the stories and all that. What it was is letting you know that these were human beings operating with the mechanics of music and making this incredible statement. And then we overlay the stories and the feel and the spiritualism, and then we get more. Absolutely. We understand that's what was driving them, but the bottom line is this was mechanics. This is something you can understand. So, grab your instrument and sort of play along and see if you don't find, just play F minor pentatonic over top if sort of that's the level you're at. Transcribe 8 measures of the melody of how Coltrane's playing. See if you can match his sound if you're a sax player or if you're a guitar player, anybody, whatever. See if you can match that sound, that passion. So much in here. I hope that was enjoyable for you. And I definitely hope I'm going to see you inside Jazzwire, working on Woody and You by Dizzy Gillespie, Oscar Pettiford's Blues in the Closet. We're doing Stars Fell on Alabama at levels that are approachable for all of you out there. That's why we divide Jazzwire inside into these 3 different communities. And community is what it's all about. Us hanging out together, doing these together, and making connections, right? Connecting to the music and connecting to each other. Even though we're not, I'm sitting here talking to my camera, but it's kind of like a connection. In Jazzwire, real connection that happens together. So I hope I see you there, and I will see you here next week. Thank you for tuning in. If you haven't subscribed, please do. I'll see you next time.